Alrighty, welcome back to another deck profile, guys. It's me, Ron, your resident bug, and today we are going to be talking about the updates that recently happened to Stoeirhaja, the deck. We recently got a new set. Of course, the main thing that came out of it is the new Rotowa with its new Momoke form, all that good jazz, but as a certified bug lover, we're going to talk about this lamp goddess first. So, I only have the SR of her. I want to eventually get more bling, but, you know, sometimes when you're an adult, you gotta prioritize money where it gotta go, right? So, we've chosen, and I mean like me and the millions of insects in my bedroom, I've chosen to not full bling this deck quite yet, but we started with Lascaria, and then started moving towards, Levidras, because Levidras is in fact an insectoid dragon. So, without further ado, let's get into the deck profile. So, Stoeirhaja is a deck that has its own ride line that you need, of course. And then, much like the majority of decks these days, you will need a way to count your energy. If you don't have a way of counting this energy, you don't want to play this deck. Well, at the very least with the more optimal builds. So, getting into it, let's start with your starter, right? I'm going to turn this way. You got your starter, Udambara Flower Banana. She's adorable. It's a starter. That's what it do. You've got your grade 1, Kusu Mamala Lamp. I think this card is very replaceable, but we'll figure it out if there ever becomes like a better grade 1 to ride. It's got, when rode upon by the grade 2 Luminary Gamga, look at the top 7 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 grade 3 or greater Stoeirhaja, or 1 Codex, which is the orders that you run in the deck. From among them, reveal it, put it to your hand, shuffle your deck, then auto rearguard circle at the end of your turn if you played a Codex, retire this unit, choose a grade 3 or greater card with Stoeirhaja and its card name from your drop zone, put it to hand. So, you know, some good stuff, but you only really want the 1 copy because you don't need the secondary ability. Especially since the new support dropped, but we'll get there in just a second. So then we've got Luminary Gamga. We've got when rode upon by the grade 3 Stoeirhaja. And by the way, I just want to say he is hot. Thank you, Lord Quilly. I appreciate this. Oh, my cat just jumped up. Look at him go. He's over there. Don't worry about him. Sorry. When rode upon by Stoeirhaja, Soul Blast 1, search your deck for a Codex card, reveal it, put it to your hand, shuffle your deck. Then, when it's placed on rearguard circle, if you played a Codex order this turn, Soul Charge 1 and plus 5k power. It is not the most important card, but it is, well, in the main deck, I mean, it is pretty damn important. Sorry, my cat's going nuts, man. It is pretty damn important in your right line, because obviously Codex for the cost of a Soul Blast, whichever one of you're choosing. So then we've got this bad boy, Venerable Stoeirhaja. They are gorgeous. This little lamp moth creature monk thing. Again, thank you Quilly for designing them. Love them. You got 3 abilities. You've got a continuous Vanguard circle during your turn if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, and you played a Codex this turn. All of your front row units get power plus 5k. So, free power gain. We know. Since Lascaria happened, it's not quite as amazing as one would hope, but it is still really good. Make your numbers bigger. Then auto once per turn when you play a normal order. If your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, until end of turn you can play an additional order this turn and cannot play orders other than Codex orders. So, you know, there's a couple things you could potentially do with this. You can play a normal order that isn't a Codex and then play a Codex, maybe, but so far I haven't really toyed with this. There's not so many Codexes or normal orders that aren't Codexes that I'm like, oh, combo, you know, so we're not doing that. And then lastly, you've got when this unit attacks, counterblast 1, choose one of your rear guards for each time you played a Codex order this turn and stand it. Of course, specifically a Codex, so, you want to play 2 Codexes every turn. And hopefully one day we'll get more different Codexes, but for now, we've just got the 2. Speaking of just got the 2, let's get into those, actually. Got these 3 and these 3. So you've got your 2 sets of Codexes. You've got this one, which is like the first one you want to do, and this one, which is the second one you want to do. It's kind of like a combo, like, oh, I play this, and then I play this. Now I've set up my whole turn. We're gonna love that. It's actually pretty fun, in my honest opinion, but your first one, the Principles of Non-Self. Play this if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Stoeirhaja in this card name, and you did not play an order with the same card name as this card in its turn. And they all have this ability, and by all I mean both of them, so don't worry about it. It's just kind of like restrictions so that you have to play it with this deck. Then choose a grade 3 or less card from your drop zone, call it to rearguard circle. Until end of turn, it gets power plus 5k, and if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, it gets auto rearguard circle once per turn. When this unit stands by your card's ability, this unit gets critical plus 1 until end of turn. So, you got your Vanguard giving you multi-attack if you play this Codex, and this Codex giving you extra criticals. We all know, yet again, thanks to Ava, that criticals are pretty valuable, so can't say no to that, right? Then we've got the other one, the Principles of Unsatisfactoriness. Really silly names. I love them, though. So same first ability, we're going to skip past that, and then until end of your opponent's next turn, your opponent gets, so you're targeting your opponent, not your opponent's Vanguard. If somehow you crossroad into Blangmire and then removed your opponent's abilities, it would remove this. All that good jazz. All of your opponent's your opponent gets all of your Vanguards get minus 3k. If you played another Codex order this turn, you can then Soul Blast 2, draw a card, and then until end of turn, or until the end of your opponent's next turn, they get Drive minus 1 on all of their Vanguards. It specifies here, this effect is not lost when your opponent rides their Vanguard. So this does include strides. Going into stride decks and making them lose one of their drive checks, going against normal drive or normal decks that don't have triple or more drive, making them lose drive checks, making them lose 3k, makes your numbers hit a lot more perfectly. There's a lot of times where you swing in Vanguard for like 15,000 or something like that, and you're just like, oh, that's just a 5k guard because they're 13k base. Not anymore. It's pretty nice. So. Then getting into the rest of the grade 3s, we've got 3 more Persona Rides. Wow, who'da thought? Persona Ride in a deck with multi-attack? No way. And then 2 Hurtful Pompaladeo. I love Hurtful Pompaladeo. Excuse me. There we go. This is the most gorgeous card in the entire deck, and it's not even close. And it is thanks to Toge, who conveniently made Darkface and Night Rose and a lot of the other cards that you and I all love, so let's say thank you, Toge. But Pompaladeo has 2 abilities. 1, continuous rearguard circle. This unit gets power plus 5k for each time you played a Codex order this turn. And then auto front row rearguard circle. When your Vanguard is attacked by your opponent's rearguard, specifically cost, retire this unit, choose one of your opponent's rearguards, and decrease that unit's attack by that unit's original attack until the end of turn. Really, really strong card. It's basically like you call it off of this card from your drop zone, then you get to swing massive numbers because of the 2 Codexes, the plus 5k, its own plus 5k, your Vanguard's plus 5k. You're going crazy with your numbers, restand, get a crit, making those perfect numbers because it's a 13k base. And then, during your opponent's turn, boom, that's 13k guarded, basically. I'm assuming at a maximum, because of like 13k base rearguards. So, pretty good stuff. You've got your fun stuff, your normal stuff, and then your silly guy, who I love. But unfortunately, he's not the perfect attacker, and so we were also given Fly Over Vivartica, who is the secondary perfect attacker. He has the same ability, but as a second ability. This unit gets plus 5k for each time you played a codex this turn, and it is a continuous effect, which is really important because it can be like called after you play your second codex and still recognize that you got the 10k. So really good effect. Then when this unit is placed on Rearguard Circle, Counterblast 1, look at the top 7 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 codex card from among them, reveal it, put it in your hand, shuffle the deck. If you didn't reveal a card, draw a card. More often than not, I find myself using him to Counterblast 1, shuffle the deck, and draw than anything, because there's a lot of ways to get your codexes in many a different way, so, you know. Just a really good attacker. It doesn't quite hit perfect numbers, except for the fact that we have the codex that minuses 3k, so it does hit perfect numbers. So he's got 5k intercept. Just a little less big, I guess, than Pumpeladillo, and that's okay. And then lastly, for our grade 2s, because we only have him and then this, our regardless piece of choice, Protection Twin Cast. It's just a double blitz order, basically. And when choosing a regardless piece, it's a lot easier to pick a blitz order than a normal order for this deck, because you want to be playing 2 codex orders every turn. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. So getting into the grade 1s, we've got this massive stack. Of course, you could tell, like, yeah, this is a grade 1 heavy deck. And before we go too far, I just want to say Alvina is, like, necessary, but if you don't have her, there's a couple things you can do. So give me just 1 second. Alright, so super importantly, because of how pricey Alvina is, thank you Night Rose for ruining this card for everyone. I figured I would get up a couple quick potential replacement cards based on your price range and where you are at financially, because this card is insane. So let's get into this card and discuss it, why we want it, and why we would want a replacement for it if ever need be. So firstly, it's gorgeous. Secondly, it has 2 abilities, Auto, when this unit is placed on Rearguard Circle from hand, other than during your battle phase, Energy Blast 3, perform one of the following. Choose an order card that is not Regardless piece from your drop zone and put it to your hand, or choose a grade 1 or less unit card from your drop zone, call it to Rearguard Circle. Continuous Rearguard Circle during your turn. If you have 4 more units, plus 2k power. So it's a 10k booster, really good numbers, and it gets you back your orders. Obviously, in a deck like this, like Zorga and many other decks, you want to make sure that you maximize your time playing your orders. So, this card, last I checked, I think it was like $30, so not everyone has the budget for it. Not everyone bought it immediately when it came out, so we're going to go over some stuff. So, for the not quite there, or I don't want to commit to this card because I don't know how many other Stoeirhaja decks I would like to play type people, you got Sea Rumble Brave Shooter. It's got a couple abilities, and it's got, you know, different use cases. It's got a Guardian Circle, or riding from your ride deck effect to draw a card for a Counterblast 1 or Energy Blast 3, and then when you Persona Ride, you can basically choose a grade 2 or less normal unit or an order card from your drop zone, put it to hand. You know, and then choose a card from your hand and discard it. So it's there. It's not bad, but like if you're like, oh, I've got other Stoeirhaja decks that I want to play, not a bad pickup, because then you can put it in other decks and live your life. For a little bit cheaper of a deck, because we're going away from the Masks decks, you've got Dragon Tree Wretch Bist Avityas. The first ability is useless. Counterblast 1 on place, make a Dragon Tree marker. And then the second ability, if your Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, choose a normal order from your drop zone, put it back to your hand. So, a little costly. I don't know if it's too super pricey. I'll be sure to check later, but it is an option and it does work. So that's always one. Then you've got Fairy of Flower Nectar Cotier. When placed from hand, if you didn't play any orders this turn, discard a card from your hand, search your deck for an order that's not Regardless piece, and then discard it. It gets to be played from your drop zone, basically, and then you get to put it back to the bottom of your deck. So you get to call it to field. It's an 8k booster, like Alvina. You have to then discard a card and get your codex from your drop zone, or to your drop zone, and then it gets to go back to your deck. So you're not really losing cards from your deck for it, but you do get to play the codex. So, you know, that's always an option. And then most recently, we've got Rueful Noble Devout, who is the most recent Stoeirhaja support single rare. When this unit is placed on Rearguard Circle, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Stoeirhaja in its card name, discard a card from your hand, search your deck for a codex card, reveal it, put it to your hand, and shuffle your deck. So you can see that 3 of these options have, you know, discard attached to it, energy blast, and then you add and discard, just discard, just discard. And then this one's counterblast and soul blast, but these are all like your options that are not Alvina to be Alvina, basically. Especially if you know, you don't have as much money as everyone might want to have to really play Vanguard as much as they would like to. So just figured I'd give some quick options, and my personal recommendation would be Devout, because at the very least he searches your deck and then just gives it to you for your hand. The others kind of, one requires it in deck, one requires it in drop, and then the other requires it in drop. So, you know. That being said, we've got some other grade 1s to get to. So Alvina, really good card, and you want to be able to have a replacement if you don't have her. So this new grade 1, and the reason the deck actually works now, as much as that hurts to say, it's just true. We've got Effectless Pupuricinus. Alright, I didn't read it actually, I'll be honest. He's really cool looking. I love this bug. He's really dope. He's got one super simple ability. When your other unit in the same column as this unit stands, by the ability of your grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Stoeirhaja in its card name, put this unit to soul, draw a card, choose one of your units, and give it power plus 5k until end of turn. Every turn, you want to try your best to get this card back from your drop zone. It's going to fuel your soul, and on top of that, it's going to fuel your hand. So overall, just a really perfect card. Then it adds some power to your units. Unit of your choosing, by the way. So if you have like nothing behind your Vanguard to boost it, you can then just like put power to your Vanguard and make your Vanguard a little bit bigger. So that's pretty cool. Getting into the next grade 1s, we've got Persist Chlorophorus. It's basically soul charging again. End of the battle, it attacked or boosted, put this unit to soul. Look at the top 7 cards of your deck, choose up to one codex card from among them, reveal it, put it to your hand, and shuffle the deck. So mostly just for soul charge abilities, but also because you can call it down early to help push. Like you can call it on your grade 1 turn if you went second attack with it. You don't have to put it to your soul, that's the cost. So if you don't fulfill the cost of putting it to soul, then you just don't do it. It stays to your field, and you keep it going. This card will be getting replaced as soon as we get the next promo for the Youthquake decks, and you know, hopefully it'll be for this deck because it's very important. But we've got Giddy Procephalus. When you play a Codex, order this unit gets plus 5k until end of turn. It's just a pretty big booster, so I added 2. It just, you know, make my numbers bigger. If somehow I don't see any of these other grade 1s, I know Giddy got me, so. Or alternatively, you know, it can be something you call off your drop zone and go crazy about, so. There's a lot of options, and you want to make sure you keep your options open, but as soon as we get that next promo, this card is gone. The next promo basically will allow you to cycle your orders back to your deck and also gain power and also gain soul, so she becomes completely moot as a point, and so do 2 of him. We're going to figure out what to do with this guy, as well as our next grade 1 slot. I'm currently running Sound of Surging Brave Shooter. It's just a really solid card, you know. Continuous if your G-Zone has no cards, which we don't have a G-Zone. This card gets all of the following. If you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard, discard this card and put a total of 2 cards from your soul or drop zone that were in the ride deck into the ride deck face up. Top 7 cards of your deck, choose up to one grade 3 or greater card with a different card name from your Vanguard from among them. Reveal it, put it to your hand, shuffle the deck. If you didn't reveal this card, or if you didn't reveal, put this card back to your hand, and then when it's put on Guardian Circle, if your drop zone has 4 or more cards, plus 5k shield until end of battle, and then if your opponent has a G-Zone, bind a grade 3 or greater card from soul or drop zone, and this card gets plus 10k shield until end of battle. So it is a potential 20k shield, typical 10k shield. Grade 3 Searcher, and you can run more of it if you want. I just honestly searches your orders, draws you cards, adds orders from drop zone. I didn't find myself using it much, so I just kind of put it at 1 because it is still kind of nice to have. This card honestly might be like, maybe we'll turn these 2 into this and then run 2 of this when the next promo comes out, and then just run 4 of the promo because the promo's just insane. So then you've got your PGs. You want to run a 1-1-1 split, or 1-1-1-1 split, because then your opponent's going to get confused while counting and then be like, why are all your cards different? Well, it's to confuse you, stupid. It's funnier that way. I don't think we really need to explain it. Elementaria is important, and running PGs is important. Crazy. So then for your heals, you want to run 1 Battle Siren and 3 Zlatrog. This is super important. For no reason. Just confuse your opponent more. You've got 4 plus 3 makes 7 crits. Your overtrigger, Stoeirhaja, crazy enough, who'd have friggin' thought. And I am currently on draw triggers for what I'm testing. However, I think front triggers are going to be better in the long run, so probably swap these bad boys out for the front triggers, whether it be the new ones from the most recent collection set, or it be the old ones that have the bigger shield. Either way, they're all going to be helpful. So triggers are pretty much up to you, but I would recommend fronts instead of draws, heals at max, crits, and Stoeirhaja over trigger, because the Stoeirhaja over trigger is just gnarly. So then final thoughts. Where are we? How do we feel this deck lands? I feel like this deck lands solidly in the middle of the pack doing nothing for the meta. I don't think it's good. It's definitely not Levy Dross terrifying levels. Usually if I'm playing against friends, I will lose to Orphist or Messiah, and so most of the time you just kind of don't really bother to play this deck, but it is a really, really fun locals deck. I don't have a locals scene, but I would probably bring this pretty often, and that's mostly because Lascaria takes like a lot of brain power and long games, so hopefully the support we're seeing soon that I'll also be reacting to will be really good and will make everything perfect for that deck, and I don't know, give crits to your rear guards. That would make the deck better. Please do not be like, oh, it's going to be a grade 1 power creep. It's going to be Counterblast 1 on place, top 8 cards of your deck for a Blitz Order or a Veleno. I'm going to cry if we get another one of those. We have enough. Please stop feeding me this. Anyways, I think this deck is solid. It's not horrible, it's not bad. It can have its days in court, and you can really cry when you're going up against it if you really don't know what it's doing, because obviously it can just blast you out of this world. So if you want to pick it up, it's a really, really cheap deck. Aside from Alvina, everything else is like pennies. I'm not even joking. It's a really cheap deck, and I would always recommend picking up cheap decks if you just want to play something for fun. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, maybe comment, discuss with me what you would like to do in the deck or what you would like to see in the future. I will respond. I like to discuss things and talk about how things could change, but for now, this card is really pretty. It is one of 3 bug decks. I will probably do an updated Lascaria and an updated Levidross deck video at some point. Maybe not Levidross, that's been kind of talked into the ground at this point. Maybe if it gets hit on like a restriction list, I will talk about Levidross. Sound good? Sound good. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.